This past Saturday, my 8-year-old son was invited to test for his black belt. He's been going to a martial arts studio for 4 years, twice a week, enduring an intense training, as it were. And you know how they can go belt by belt by belt and accelerate. So you get to the point where you're at red, black, and now black. Well, we are preparing him because the parameters around the testing are very specific and very rigorous. For instance, he has to spar with others of the same belt category. He also needs to do a movement training sequence where he's stopping and moving his arms and legs in the way he's been taught for about a minute or two. And then he has to go on to break boards, wooden boards. And we're going to watch a video. I hope it is able to come through clearly. And if not, then I will just narrate over it. But what we're about to watch is a young man who had to have confident assurance to break those boards. The first board is a hand strike, and the second board is a kick. And each student has 3 tries to break the board. And if you do not break the board by the 3rd try, you have to redo this training another 10 weeks and go through it again and retest again. And there's even a limit to how many times you can test for black belt. And we're going to watch and see what happens. Now, on the left here, that's Master you're right, Master Perkachik. On the left here, that's his headmaster that owns the martial arts studio. And then here are some other trainers. My sister-in-law, Lisa, was helping with some of the judging. And all the parents, because you know you have to repay for that same training, and all the parents are praying that they pass black belt too. But it's only the ones who pass the black belt training that get to move on to what they call this tea ceremony. And the tea ceremony is a very special, very exclusive time for those in black belt ranking. Now, when you walk in the school, you're going to see a glass display case where black belts who have gone before have their black belts with their name and then the symbol next to it to motivate the up-and-comings, to show them that it's possible and to keep their eyes focused when you walk in. And it's not worshipful, but you bow in out of respect. Hello, sir. Hello, ma'am. And you walk in. So let's watch and see what happens with Ethan's board breaking. That's 1. That's 2. Now, Master Perkachik here is going to give him a change of scenery, and he's going to speak to him.
Deep breath. You're nailing it. Let's do this. Oh yeah, you got this. Deep breath. Ready?
Oh, okay, he broke it. Oh, we were all just holding our breath. Not another 10 weeks. Don't make us go through the same training. He made it. And because a young man listened to the voice of his master, he was able to be victorious over the testing. And more than that, he was able to enter the much anticipated, extra special, exclusive even, realm of the black belts. In front of everybody, and think about the great cloud of witnesses we're surrounded by. I guarantee you his aunt was praying for him in that moment. Lord, please help Ethan break the boards. You noticed how Master encouraged him, let him take a breath, and told him, you got this. You got this. Encouraging him along the way, motivating him to be successful. Now, the tea ceremony, I've never experienced anything like it. Apparently, it's tale as old as time. It's an ancient tradition. And as they were talking about the different symbols of it, it was beautiful. They dimmed the lights, they lit candles, and only the students who were becoming black belts got that FaceTime with the master, where they walked up and they had kind of a waterfall soundtrack on and beautiful flute music going. And they'd walk down, and each student had a symbolic gift to give to Master that represented their training. And there's my 8-year-old son right there, Ethan Zeal. And he has this little golden cup. And he said, this is a symbol of my training because the cup must first be emptied in order to be filled up. And I had to humble myself and listen to my instructors in order to be successful. And Master Perkachik then received it, and he gave a word about each one of the students. And it was such a special, joyful, intimate time for those students and their trainers. And as I was sitting there with grandparents on this side and grandparents on that side, and we're watching with joy, I couldn't help but think of 2 Corinthians 5:10, which speaks about the judgment seat, the Bema seat of Christ. It says, "For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, so that each one may receive what is due in the body, whether good or bad." Now, judgment seat, of course, is talking about the Bema. If you want extra reading on that, that'd be 1 Corinthians 3. I guarantee you it bless you. But it's talking about, are we sending up wood, hay, and rubble, which shall be burned away? Or are we sending up imperishable gold and silver, in a sense? So we must all appear before the judgment seat. And I was just thinking, you know what? This isn't the great white throne. That's separation of the sheep and the goats. Okay, that's the difference between heaven and hell, eternity with God, eternity apart from God. That's the great white throne. We're talking about the Bema seat. That's for Christians to come up and say, Lord, here's how I served you. Think about Sarah. Think about Sarah. She was no perfect woman. She wasn't superwoman. She was just an ordinary woman who saw an extraordinary God and is basically commended for her faith in 1 Peter. And remember, we can be daughters like her. Now, I'd be remiss if quickly if I could just do this, because this just is going to go along with Hebrews. And remember, faith means what? Confident assurance, okay, despite undesirable circumstances. So, confident assurance.